Russia could be the toughest country, and the people are scary. They're so far behind us in like pop culture, so they're like, listen to new #1 song on radio disco, a little bit of Jessica in my life.
And he goes, what the f***? Where the f*** am I gonna find another Jewish comedian? And I go, what?
As a 6-year, coming into 7-year comedian, I just started headlining smaller clubs. Bill's a first-year comedian. He's been opening and stuff. So I just, as like a dummy, I guess, I assumed most managers and agents were also lawyers. Is that not?
No,
Not at
they're
all.
not at all.
Dude,
You're
they're like-
coloring me shocked. This is genuine shock.
I think agents are supposed to be, though, or they used to be.
Well, they're like because they have to deal with contracts
Yeah.
and things like that. But that's why you have an actual lawyer.
Yeah, then you have an
that
entertainment lawyer. Yeah.
So you're paying two. You're paying double.
You pay
Yeah.
3.
You pay
Who's the
everybody.
You
third?
pay your manager, you pay your
Agent.
lawyer, you pay your agent.
Yeah.
Okay.
the
Genuine
lawyer,
question.
I
What
only
is the
pay-
difference between a manager and an agent?
Manager guides your career. The agent gets you work.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like the manager is like somebody that you trust
Are you
with.
learning this too?
Yeah.
We're both.
So,
It helps
I
me
don't-
So
make
manager
decisions and
agent
Yeah.
are different.
Yeah.
I get lawyer and agent are not the same. Though most agents I've found of any repute know the contracts very very well.
If
but
because I haven't had a manager for many years, and that's good and it's bad. Where it's like it's good because I've been in the game, and because of what I've done, I've met everybody, so I know everybody, so I can go direct to an executive. Like I can go to Robbie Praw at Netflix and reach out to him about an idea or something that I have. I need one now because now I have like a lot of work that I want to do, and so then I want somebody to help me guide with that. People think they need a manager and an agent very early on. The managers, I think, is more important because if they see potential, they can guide. Agent is only if it's like to get you work, and it's like I'm not talking about acting work. I'm
So
talking
would
about like
the manager would be more like, hey, you need to clean up your act, or you need to be more punk rock to sell to like the Midwest. Whereas the agent would be like, I have 6 clubs that want to book a tour.
the agent would be like, all right, so I'm gonna book you in this, and this place. Your manager is like, what do you want to do?
Okay.
What's the goal that you want, and how can I facilitate that? How can I help you get that? How can I you should write a show about this. Let's find you another writer. Let's do that.
2 questions. You did a negative shot already, and I really liked that. That's the
A
kind of
negative
show-
shot?
Didn't you just named the guy who tried to steal from you?
Oh,
earlier?
Chuck Johnson? Yeah. I'll fucking say his name all day. I have the emails.
Well, there was
That's a pretty popular name. Which city does Chuck Johnson live in?
That's the funniest part because I said to him, I said, hey, man, you're trying to tell me that a Jewish organization from New York City contacted a college booking agent in North Carolina to see if you knew any Jews? I go, they didn't look outside in New York City or maybe hit up one of their friends in L.A.? I go, your story is total bullshit. But I have it all in email, and then he tried to do like, I think you're just mad I dropped you. I'm like, dude, I don't care. I wasn't booking colleges anymore. I go, I left you on my website because I was like, hey, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
I wanted to, let you get a commission and handle if anything came through. I go, what are you talking? Like, I knew he was gonna try and put that in my face, but he's
Just
a
imagine
piece of
not
shit.
being able to find a Jewish comedian in New York. That's
Oh, dude, I had another when I was at
I can't believe Geoff is Jewish.
dude, when I had
what's shocking here? Yes.
one of the funniest things when I was younger, when I was at Gersh, and my agent goes, he wanted me to do a gig as a favor for him, and I had a gig that night that I booked myself for like $400 in San Diego, and I was like, well, I have a gig, and he wanted me to do it for this Jewish organization. I think it was for Hillel or something at the Laugh Factory, and I go, hey man, I can't do it because I have this other gig. I go, and he was Jewish, and he goes, what the fuck? Where the fuck am I gonna find another Jewish comedian? And I go, what? I go, you manage. I go, you rep, not manage. You're Louis Katz's agent. Like friends, I named friends like Jacob Sarah. I'm like naming Jewish comics on his roster. I go, throw a rock out your window, dude. It's L.A. And then he like forced me to do this gig. Anyways, we had a whole thing. I have another funny story about an agent stealing, like kind of stealing from me when I
I
was
want to
at.
hear it. These are fun. These are fascinating.
I was gonna bring up.
I'm sure people have stolen from you, right? If you make money, people take. Like,
oh
they'll
my
just,
God! I was gonna talk about you had the most funny stealing thing with the Australian guy.
Oh, the guy stealing my joke. Yeah.
Do you know about that?
No.
Dude, this was like.
I didn't know you knew about that.
How could you not? It
I
was
don't know
one
how
of the
big
dude.
it
It was
This-
at the
we are
birth
naming
of
names on
it was
this
at the
show.
birth of social media, really, where it was like posting
Yeah.
videos and stuff. Geoff, very funny comic, has done multiple things on television. and a guy on Australia Got Talent
Yeah.
did 2 different comics full act and killed.
Yeah.
He killed, and then
Like
and then
verbatim
take it
with
from
an
there.
Australian
Jeff,
accent?
take it from there.
No, so he did either I don't know the order, but he did this British comic Lee Mack's joke, and then he did my joke, I think, or it was the other way around. But that was his whole 90 seconds or whatever. But the thing that's funny about that, a lot of people don't know, is so I used to Australia's on a different time, right? And I was back at my place in Burbank, and I had smoked a joint, so I'm high. And then I go on Twitter, and I see all these people saying, like, adding me, like, this is the comic JP ripped off. And they kept saying ripped off. And I literally checked my pocket. I'm like, did somebody steal my wallet? Like, I didn't know what was going on. And then I just wrote one of them back, I go, hey, who's JP? And what'd they do to me? And then they sent me a clip, and I'm fucking stoned out of my mind. And this Australian guy's like, I've only got 3 requirements when it comes to girls. And he's like, does my bit, and it
Can
crushes.
you keep a secret?
Yeah.
2.
And it crushes. And then I was like, oh, it's so fucking weird. Like, I wasn't mad because I was so high. And I mean, I wasn't really mad anyways. And then all these news networks from Australia, like the morning for them. So they started going, hey, do you want to do an interview? So I did all these interviews for Australian TV High. And then when I watched them, they sent me the clip later, and I go, I sound like angrier than I thought I was because they're like, what do you think they should do to him? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, they go, do you think they were asking me, do you think he should be allowed back? And I go, yeah, I mean, if he can like sing or dance or something, but not to do my jokes. Like, it was just like the shittiest interview.
And then it's a big, scandal in Australia because it's biggest
Yeah.
TV show there. And then what they do is they bring the guy back to actually do his own act.
Oh, it bombed so hard. I'm sure.
Dude,
it
he
bombed so hard.
murdered harder than anybody's. No, I'm kidding. Of course he bombed.
I was like, wow,
was
this is
garbage.
not going where I thought.
But what a
I think when he came back, he did like a Jeff Ross roast joke he tried to do too or something. Even when he was bombing, he tried to like he's still like kind of stealing stuff.
That's
And that guy
wild.
hit me up because he's like, hey, I'm going to be in LA. Like, or no, he had somebody hit me up pretending they were doing a documentary and they wanted me and Jordan to meet. And it was clearly him. So I just go, no, I'm not interested in this. Like, I don't want to be a part of.
Wow.
That is wild. Okay,
Isn't that cool that I brought that up?
It's
I
crazy.
forgot all about
yeah,
that.
You're
Yeah.
producing, you're
Not that
killing
he
the
lived
show,
it,
right?
but that I brought
So
it up.
so you're over here just living your life, doing your thing, coming up, grinding, right? And then now you see a guy like reaching superstar success in his home country with your joke. Like that's.
Well, I
gotta
did that joke
feel-
on Comedy Central. I think that's where he saw it. Because
Okay.
everybody had seen. Yeah, I did it on TV. It's not
That's
like
why
he,
it was
like-
so wide based that when he copied it, so many people
People had clips, and the Lee Mack joke was like,
Robbie Williams bit. It was like it was
Yeah.
about like how Robbie Williams doesn't sing. Like he goes, a lot of singers do it because they don't want to hit the note. I do it
Yeah.
in the jam where it's like you're getting to a note that it could be the strain. So you're like sa sa sa, and then you put the mic out and everybody sings it. And the guy was like, it was basically like, we didn't pay, for us to hear us sing. We paid for you, Robbie.
Yeah.
And the guy doesn't do. That would be like me going up and being like, so you know what happened to me the other day when I was with my wife.
yeah.
And
But it was like that Lee Mack guy. I think he was like way more. He was like famous in the UK. I think that tipped it off, and then people realized that because I wasn't like famous. I've never been famous. I mean, like some people know who I am, but I think the fact that Lee Mack was like really big because they showed his special.
and
Yeah.
then investigated the rest.
Yeah,
of the
they were
set.
like,
and it's
oh-
only 90 seconds. So
Well, there's enough people. Everyone's online, so there's
Yeah.
at least one person like, oh, this other one's Jeff Keith, Comedy Central,
I
America.
did,
I agree with that.
I did,
I love that.
I did a joke about this topic in my. I don't want to call it special, but I just taped an hour and I'm about to drop that. And there's a joke about how in India, and this is a real thing. You can get on YouTube right now. You're already on it after you finish this video. You put in stand-up comedy and then sort it by most viewed. Have you guys done?
I've never done that.
If you go on YouTube and you put in stand-up comedy, sort it by most viewed, the first like 6 pages
They're all Indian
of
people,
results are
right?
Indian
Oh, yeah,
comics.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they're doing like it's like 20% English. It's like Spanglish, but with like Urdu and Hindi and like the
Yeah.
languages they speak. But like every now and then English comes through. And I don't want to say all the jokes are stolen jokes or lifted premises, but like
Oh yeah, well they're
a
like
lot of them are like rediscovering like 10 or 15 years. Like the comedy is like the same
It's
tropes
behind.
and the street jokes and stuff.
I did stand up in India.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
But you have to go all the way down. It's like page 5 or page 6, 30-something million views. Shane Gillis's Live in Austin is the first,
Oh, look at that.
like the first full-length special. The
Wow.
first, like, that is like the first one if you sort by
And he's
views.
Pakistani, so that's crazy.
Shane Gillis. Yeah,
Nepalese.
but that's the stealing and the translating is where it gets even crazy. Because like if someone takes your joke and then they change it into a different language and then they just throw a couple like local cultural customs, like that joke is stolen. Maybe I guess with Google Translate, but it's an issue. It's an issue where like it's happening a lot.
I remember talking to Eddie Ift a long time ago before that thing happened in Australia, because Eddie used to go to Australia a lot, and I was like, I wanted to do it too, and then he's like, yeah, the comedy, he's like, they're like 10, 15 years behind there. He's like, so like they're just blown away when an American comic shows up. I don't know. I'm sure it's not the same now because the internet and social media is like.
Nah, dude, they're like, that's why I always make fun of Russia, because I'm like Russia can be the toughest country and the people are scary, but they're also cute because they're so far behind us in like pop culture. So they're like,
the only ones left are
they're
women
like,
and
listen
children
to
at
the
this point.
#1 song on radio disco, a little bit of Jessica in my life. This is the hottest song on #1 radio disco. So yes, all those countries are, and is it really stealing if they're just It's like doing a cover. That's what he tried to say. He's like, it's like musicians do it all the time when we cover.
I have a softer heart if you've completely changed the language. If you've gone and done my joke in a language I was never going to learn, like I'm 35, I'm not learning Urdu. Like it's not going to happen. So like if you did my joke in Urdu and in Pakistan and it kills, I mean I'm like a little like I don't like it, I don't respect it, but I'm not that angry. But like,
watch him become a billionaire. After
if
joking.
some
You're
other
like, all right,
guy-
fuck this guy.
Like
I'll
if-
learn Urdu.
like if
But
Colin
$1 billion rupees is like 11 cents.
Yeah.
like if Colin Farrell gained some weight and then started doing jokes about how he doesn't have good sex with his wife, I'd be like, hey man, I'm doing In Bruges too.
No, the joke
Great
is
movie.
it's the joke about actually having sex. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this was a great conversation. Let me do one more fish. I'm probably overfished it, but I feel like there's one more story here. Is there a story of a manager that you had to fire or an agent that you had to fire because of some, like, obviously that guy wasn't even working with you at that point that he tried to do
The
that.
thing I was going to say real quick that's just funny now is when I was at ICM, I went in to see my agent one time and he knew I was coming in. And dude, I'm not making this shit up. He had all his clients listed on a whiteboard, like Hannibal Buress, all these people in black ink. And it was so obvious he drew my name in last minute, like in blue. I was the only one in blue. I was at the bottom. I was crammed in. And like this guy, when I say they take stuff, I was not because of ICM at all. I was already like the highest booked college act in the country that year. So I had like 100 and some colleges booked. And they're taking 10%. And they had nothing to do with, they weren't my agents when I was booking this stuff.
Wow.
I was just so pissed off. And then when summer came around, I'm like, hey man, how's my summer look? He booked me like nothing. He just was taking like tens of thousands of dollars from me.
Wow.
Oh,
I'm sure he's had it worse because he's had his own TV show.
I mean, it's crazy how a little amount of work people will do and then send you a bill for 10%. And I mean, it's insulting.
Yeah.
But also the way I see it is okay, and this they do in the long run is like, okay, you took this, make me this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We
So
did-
if I'll bring work in, because I think as agents, not as comedians, which you guys right now, even this podcast, it's like you're creating something, you're doing something, you're connecting the dots. Just always know, just always know that whether you have an agent or a manager, you're still doing the work, and you have to be your agent and your manager. So you got to find yourself work, and look, it's like I said, it's like cool. I'll pay you that money. Make me more.
Yeah.
Make me that. Don't, and then when you make an agency money, like they do, they do, I'm not gonna say they care about you more, but it's just like, dude, they all suck. They all suck. You just have to like do it yourself and know that.
Dude,
And
the funniest story where you said people, how little work they'll do. I was booking all my own flights and my own travel, my rental cars when I was doing colleges, when I was like really busy doing colleges. And I remember my manager one time goes, hey, Geoff, can you send me your travel for this week? And I was like not sleeping. I would not sleep for like a week sometimes unless I was on a plane, and I'm exhausted. So I go, for what? And she's like, oh, just send it so I have it. And I go, all right. So I had like go through my flights. I'm like, all right, I'm on this Delta flight, whatever. I go through this whole thing. It takes my time up. I send it to her. I'm not fucking joking. Like 20 minutes later, she sends an email back copying my manager's assistant and ICM saying, hey, Geoff, please see your travel itinerary for this week.
No.
She made me do all that work just so she could pretend she did work.
Wow.
It was-
and
Oh,
she
I
didn't
know.
even book him. You booked him.
No, I booked. Yeah.
But they don't book your
Yeah.
agents and your managers do not book your travel.
But then they don't also pretend that they did. Right.
That was the
Yeah.
weirdest email. I was like, do I get mad or like,
no, what I think what the thing is that managers will, because your agent is booking you like the gigs. I will
Travel.
be in Fort Worth and I will be in Plano.
We can get you people there, yeah.
Yeah, in the next I think in the next 3 months I'll be
Mic
at both
drop?
those places. Mic drop, and I'm doing hyenas.
Hell yeah.
Which I'd love to come back on this. This is
Yeah.
really fun. Did they hound you? Dude, I got like
awesome.
from 8 people were like, you have to do this podcast. They really want you. And I was like, I guess I got to do it. It's like, if
He was an early on. He's an early.
Yeah, I did
I
it,
mean,
what,
you
a
were
few
in the
months
first
ago.
two.
I love
you
it.
were in the
I
first
think
3
this is
months
way
of us
better than
doing
I
it.
thought I was just doing a podcast. This is
we
like
try
so
to
much.
we want to make the comedians look good, but also like podcasts can be like very like taxing for a comedian, where it's like you have to carry the whole show and tell the same stories over and over again. So like
We don't have
with
to do
this-
anything. This is when we don't have to. It's not an interview show. It's like
Yeah.
it's just we get to. That's why same thing with my podcast, the 500. Listen to it.
Check
where
out the
I'm
500.
where I'm going through Rolling Stone magazine's list of the 500 greatest records. Like this week I have Michael Shannon, the actor,
Oh.
this huge Oscar-nominated actor,
Wow.
to talk about the Who, because we're not talking about his career. We're talking about the Who. And they love that.
Yeah.
They love not talking about themselves. Little do they know, I'm using the album as a roadmap to interview them. So,
I love that.
Genius.
but what I was going to get to is a lot of managers will, because your agents book the work and you've done everything, but they'll send you a one sheet of your hotel, your contacts, and your itinerary, because that, even though they're not doing anything for that work, so that's in a sense how they're going to get the 10%. Is saying, oh, we justified, but we told you where everything is.
I don't want to. I'm
Do
gonna
it.
say it. Bill's gonna look at me with a side eye. But there was a firm I was working with, a law firm. Okay, and I'm a baby lawyer. I'm a newer lawyer. Bill, a very sensei lawyer. Bill, very kind of like a wise older Asian samurai. And I'm just like a dude.
what if he was an Asian? How would you have described that?
like a black samurai or like whatever he was? If he
He's
changed
a
his race.
sensei. He's a samurai.
He's like a Tom
Panda
Cruise.
Express
He's
chef.
Tom Cruise. He's the last samurai. I would have used a samurai regardless
Okay, all
of
right, all right.
Afro samurai, Afro Jack. It's more about the. Don't make this about race.
Sorry.
Brad, okay.
that was-
It's all about race.
No, so I am just not used, in a lot of ways. I'm not used to working with other lawyers, like especially like legit ones. And there was this lawyer I was working with, and he was charging me $170 an email.
Whoa.
Full stop. That was it. Just like by the email. Like, so he like sent an email. Was like, we should talk next week. $170. That he like said. I was like, ask you, Bill. I was like,
Yeah,
is this?
he was
I was
pissed.
like, no, I wasn't even. I was.
Yeah, that's right.
honestly-
Up front, you weren't, because you were like, "What's going on?"
At first, I thought it was a joke, or like, but it's kind of like Anchorman, where like, oh, you ate the whole wheel of cheese. Like, I'm not even mad. I'm more impressed. I was like, is this how it is? And Bill was like, this is kind of how it is at that level. And I'm like, I'm just doing it wrong. I'll.
Wait. He sent you an email and then that he charged you $170?
The argument, which is nebulous, it's vague, is he had to read the thread below, and then like maybe he thought about it or something, and then he typed his response, and then like that's 15 minutes, and then his billing rate is very high, and then that we do some little math and throw it on $170, more or less. I don't know. You explain
you
it to me.
paid it.
I don't understand fully.
No, you did it right. It's how much time they spent. They say that they did the work. They measure it in 6-minute increments, and then they bill at an hourly rate. And that's,
I have
Whoa.
clients. This is a real.
there are
thing for me.
lawyers that are charging like $2,500 an hour.
Yeah, I have clients.
Whoa.
I have clients.
Well, I knew that, but I mean,
And
still.
I'll like literally like they'll call me and I'm like, oh, I should write that down, and then I don't, and then I'm just like, well, I'm never gonna charge for it, because like I don't want to be like sending them a bill on like what I guesstimate is. Like I've probably like 35% of my work, maybe 40% of my work that I definitely should bill for. I'm definitely not billing for. So I lean on the other side of it, and then I get the email bill. I'm like, all right, well, I'm done emailing that guy. Like, I don't even want to respond. So yeah.
So even if he emails you K,
yeah.
that's $175.
No, it was what he said the time was for. But that being said, there are literally whole companies that are and law firms that are reviewing other lawyers' bills.
Yeah.
On behalf of insurance companies. So the insurance company, some people are like, oh, the insurance companies are just mean to the people who buy the policies. No, they're actually like really aggressive with everyone. They're just like penny pinching. So they'll have a firm that will review the lawyers at the other firm. So maybe they went and hired a specialist firm for a big case. they'll have this lower rinky-dink law firm just reading the bills to be like, did you bill too much, so that they can just cut the bill that the insurance company has to pay.
Dude, if someone's charging me $170 an email, I'll just keep bumping into him in public. Like, oh, yeah, you eat here too.
Oh, dude,
Anyways, while I have you,
I didn't know this was your gym.
Wow, is this your bedroom
just
too?
on the elliptical next to him, asking him questions for
You
45
make
minutes.
so much money as a lawyer. Then it's
It's
that's
possible.
insane.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not.
If your rate is high enough, yes, you can. and
I
you
quit
can do
comedy
business.
3 minutes ago. I don't know about you.
I said you could get through law school, hands down. Hands down.
Well, comedy, it's crazy because, and I'm obviously we are on the low level. We're looking up to you guys, like you guys are the best. We small penises, but
yeah.
it's crazy how like in Dallas, like
Is that that South Park thing? You have such big penis. Ritter penis. Ritter.
hey, stop doing your Bill impression. No, so like in Dallas, there's like 8 million people that live in Dallas, and like people that are like trying to do comedy or whatever, like I think it's probably like a little over 400, like that are in some extent trying to do it. That means like people that only go to a couple open mics, and then people are trying to get booked at clubs. So it's like, there's like, I don't know, 8 or 9 clubs in Dallas. And so if a club puts you on their roster as like an opener feature, let's take opener. If a club puts you on your roster as an opener, there's like 80 people that could have done that job that night as an opener, like maybe 100 even. So you can't really be that offended if you are or are not on the roster, because it's like a lot of people can do that job. But then you jump up to feature, and like, I don't want to I don't know if we have comics watching the deep cut here, but like there's probably not 30 good features that live in Dallas. Like probably not. Like it'd be really close to 30. It's definitely not 40, but like maybe it's 30. So at that point, it's like, hey, I haven't got worked as a feature at all. It's like, okay, maybe the club has a personal thing. But then it's like, if you can headline and like fill in for like weekends, like when people cancel and stuff, like, there's probably only like 5 or 6 comics that live here locally. Maybe it's 10, but probably only 5 or 6 that a club, when someone cancels, a club will get them to headline. So it's like, it's wild to see how like there's no opportunity, no opportunity, no money, no money, no opportunity, no money. Then it's like, oh, you can headline. Oh, it's okay. But then it's like, oh, you can sell out and headline. You can negotiate your deal directly with the club. It's like now you're keeping all the 90% of the tickets, 80%. Yeah,
Well, that's not me.
If you can sell tickets,
You sell tickets,
you'll
it's
work
over.
forever,
Yeah.
man. I mean, that's ultimately, but it's not based on funny anymore. It's social media has changed comedy for the worse.
I met a guy, I won't name him, but representing himself and everything, and he has over 500,000 on Instagram, and he's only been doing comedy for like 2 years. And he's headlining.
I'm gonna go kill myself. So,
Yeah.
no.
I know.
He's selling out,
I
dude.
know.
Selling clubs out.
Yeah, we heard you the first time.
And he no, but these aren't comped. These aren't comped. These are
Oh, I got
nothing
it,
to
yeah.
paper. These are full price tickets.
Yeah.
And then like he did 30, and like 8 minutes of it was Q&A.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in the back, and I'm just like, wow, I guess everyone's gonna like get on Yelp and complain. And then like the end of the show, people are happy.
Yeah. They said they got to see him.
They had a good time.
They got to touch the stars for a moment.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who I had a good time. I watched your show last night. Genuinely had a good time. Like
That's
that.
how yeah, thank you. I try to say that to all the trolls. I'm just like, that are like, because I don't know how to videotape it and put it up and really show what I'm doing, because it's like a party. It's like a rock concert or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's so people are like, I don't know, the singing, whatever this is like, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, just come to the show.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like,
You're doing it's your thing. Like you're doing you. Like that
Yeah.
like that comes through. And it's like, especially, I don't even know how many comics I've watched. It's an infinite number. I couldn't even tell you. And it's like, you grade people. You're like, okay, that guy's doing a good job. That guy's okay at crowd work. That guy is a good writer, but his stage performer, whatever. It's like, you're in your own category. I literally, I've never seen someone do that. I don't know how do you describe your show?
It's like I'm like a
Rock
like,
concert.
It's like I'm like a bar mitzvah DJ comedian. Like
Yeah.
it's always like, because I used to do that, and you're kind of like, what are you good at? Well, I can sing, and I've been doing music my whole life, which I love, and then I've tried to be funny my whole life. I think I'm funny for me, yeah. And then I was a bar mitzvah DJ. So it's like all those things meet. And what a bar mitzvah DJ does is like, this is the place to be. The Shalowitz bar mitzvah at the Marriott in Bethesda, Maryland is the coolest thing going down right now. And I try to create that. you like that this show right now is the place to be, and we're never going to be a group together again. So give yourself over, and that's why I don't do credits. I don't like when the guys say, what do you want me to say? Just say, this is really fun. You guys are in for a treat.
Yeah.
And to give yourself, that's why I say it at the beginning. It's like, just please, like, give yourself over to the
You're
show.
interactive. Your show's interactive in a big way. It is musical. There's a lot of improv. A lot of improvisational moments.
Or at least it feels like it. I do a lot of that shit all the time. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're steering the ship into what I want. You know, so I've done it before. Like,
magicians don't want to, you don't want to reveal the but it is very improvised.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good show. Okay. And
So-
then,
so-
I got a question. I didn't know you did bar mitzvahs. Did you make a lot of money in that? Because what the guy who did my bar mitzvah, that guy fucking had a racket, man. Like, he had my whole synagogue. It was weird if somebody didn't use Marty. Like, every now and then there'd be a
Wait,
bar.
You also used Marty?
We used Marty, dude. But there was like, I think his name was Marty. But there was like one other guy every now and then you'd see. But it was like this guy got like 85% of every kid, every grade. You know what I mean? Like every year there's new bar and bat mitzvahs, and he was all. And then like as I got into entertainment later, I'm like, how much money did that guy make? Is this like his only gig?
So
That's such a sweet deal.
I worked for a company called Ultrasound DJs. Dude, they were like, it's really funny because they were like real old school. You know what I mean? They were like, you could look them up. I think it's Ultrasound Entertain if you want to find .com. They were both in their like early 50s, lived with their parents, still Greek Orthodox, super religious. You know, and the guy would be like, "Hey, how you doing, Bubba? Yeah, we're going to the Shalowitz bar mitzvah tonight, and you gotta. I know you want to be a comic, so why don't you try to be funny?" But then they were also like so Christian, right? They'd be like, "Evolution is a joke," you know. I mean that. Like they were so. Dude, it was crazy, but what I'm glad was that somebody brought me in there, and they would have a roster of like 40 different guys they could call, and they gave them the equipment, and kind of gave you like the set list, and they gave you the CD binders that you needed, and I became one of their best DJs. I wasn't so much a bar mitzvah; I did more weddings. Weddings were my thing. I really liked weddings, but I did sock hops and proms and things like that. And so I would know the check at the end of the night. I would receive the check. They would have put a deposit down as well. But I think like depending on the size, there was at least 1,000. Some were like 700. Just depend on the amount of hours and how many lights and things you would bring. I would generally make anywhere from like 250 to like 350 maybe a bar mitzvah or a wedding, but then you would have like another guy sometimes and you'd have to split that. But for a guy that worked 2 days a week and for 7 years I did it every Friday night and every day Saturday. They didn't work Sundays, which sucked because they were religious.
How did you get into comedy? How did you transfer into comedy?
So I had always wanted to be a comic, and one night I was doing coke with these guys in Baltimore.
As one
does.
does.
I was because I wanted to do it when I was 18, but I just was too afraid. And
Coke or comedy?
Once you stop, dude. Once you start, you can't stop.
So I think I was like 26 years old. I just graduated college. I was doing coke in Baltimore, and somebody was like, "Let's, you're funny, like you're a comic, right?" Or I was like, "All right." I was like, "Yeah." And then that night I went home. I went on this sort of website. Do you remember Chuckle Monkey?
Yeah, Chuckle Monkey.
Chuckle Monkey was like an old message board that basically had everything comedy that you need. Open mics in every city, the comedy clubs.
Yeah.
And I looked up where there was an open mic, and it was in the Virginia area. And it was Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and I went down there on the Tuesday, and I signed up. I didn't get up. And then I went up to the guy, and I said, "Listen, I've never done it before. If I don't do it tonight, I don't know if I'm coming back." So he goes, "I'll throw you on the end." And then I went up, and you just, your first time, just the fact that you do it is like a big deal. So even if you get like you're not getting big laughs, you're just getting like,
dude, I murdered I went up my first time full of arrogance, and I objectively murdered, and I was like, comedy's easy. And then I went back and I tried it again the next week.
bomb, yeah.
The most soul crushing bomb.
Yeah.
And like looking back at it is like I just had the perfect luck of like two exceptionally unlikable people that were like doing bad stuff, and then also turned on the crowd, went right before me that first time, and I went up. I was like, it's my first time, and so I got all that jubilation of like, and I confused that for doing anything right. And then I went back out and I was like, hey, it's my second time. Like, shut the fuck up and tell jokes.
Hilarious. Same. My first time was I thought was good, and then the next one I came back next week. I invited people, like I invited friends, and I did my act, or what lack thereof. And the guy went up and he was like I didn't think I was going to be able to watch Dane Cook's Tourgasm this week, but I just saw it right here. I mean, I literally did Dane's act for the most part, and you know, it's so crazy. It's just like, what I'm doing now is what I should be doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Before it was like you're trying to figure out. It just takes so much time. You know,
Right.
That's why you're both in great positions. The fact that you're doing it, you're out here and you're working. Just keep discovering and keep going up.
Dallas is a great market. If you're listening to this and you're a comic, move to Austin. All right.
Hold on. I have a quick point because I want to talk about. I just put two things together. Last night when I was watching your show, I was like, is he going to put his backpack down before he goes up? And he wears his backpack up. And I immediately thought, Geoff has had someone steal his shit while
that's
he's on
why
stage.
I do it. Yeah, that's why I do it.
Because then you set it down, and I was
Yeah.
like, that's got to be the only reason.
I don't part with my stuff now. Ever since they,
Where's your backpack right now? It's 10 a.m. Do you
it's
know?
at the hotel. Well,
Send it
I don't.
through.
I leave my luggage.
No, but
in the
like
room.
literally, that's what I thought last night. I was like, "Yep, this guy has gotten his shit stolen in the
Yeah.
club." Because I mean, obviously, you've been at TK's a lot, and you trust TK a lot, but you don't know where everyone is, and just the setup's a little wonky.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, no, Geoff has had his shit stolen." So when you said that
100%.
earlier at the college, I was like, "Oh, okay, that's it." So
Well, this has been a fascinating conversation. I know I learned several things. Guys, thanks for coming on. Talking comedy, talking business, talking law, talking hardly legal. If you have a crazy legal story and you want to talk to some lawyers anonymously, for free, call us.
Wait, we're not getting paid?
Nothing at all. I don't know how we're going to pay for it, to be honest.